We are doing business law. We are in business. We're open for business. We are open for business. Chapter 5, speaking about partnership. Okay. So when a person enters into a partnership agreement without making any stipulations, he should not deviate from the local custom followed with regard to that merchandise. Right? We're in business together, produce, whatever it is, merchandise. And you didn't make a clear contract with, stipulations. So you follow the local custom. He should not take the merchandise and travel to another place, enter into a partnership with the other individual, enter into another partnership with other individuals, be involved with other merchandise, sell it on an extended payment plan unless it is ordinarily sold in such a manner. Right? All of those things you can't do. In others, unilaterally, we're talking about. Obviously, if there's an agreement between the two of you, then obviously, right? As we've said, any business law that there's a agreement between the two people, the two partners, then that's the way you do business because based on what your agreement is. But we're talking about that there is no agreement, right? They didn't make any stipulations. So now you have to follow the local custom. And therefore, you can't now make a partnership with someone else. For other, other merchandise, right? I don't think that means forever. It just means, you know, okay. Nor should be entrusted with others unless a stipulation to that effect has been made at the outset, or he did so with the consent of his colleague, right? So you can't give off the produce to someone else and have them sell it and Michael let in. And so on. You can't do those things again, unless there's an agreement, either set before or afterwards. There's an agreement. If the partner transgresses and performs one of the above activities without the knowledge of his colleague, when he informs him afterwards of what he did, the other partner agrees he's not liable. So he didn't do it originally, but now he's okay with it. So then fine. Right? Otherwise, he would be liable, the first partner who went ahead and did any of those things without the consent of his partner. But if he's in agreement, so now he's not liable. A kinyan is not necessary to formalize the partner's consent to any of the above matters. A verbal commitment is sufficient. A verbal commitment is sufficient. Because they're already partners, right? A kinyan, to make a kinyan an active acquisition, means it's not mine, it's yours. For it to become mine, I have to make an active acquisition because there's a transference here. But here there's no transference. There's only some kind of stipulation that was not made on the outset, and now we're making the stipulation, right? Or whatever that they were consenting to. So saying it verbally is sufficient. You don't need a kinyan. When one of the partners transgresses and sells merchandise on credit, right, which he's not allowed to do, again, without consent, because that's not the normal way. Again, unless that was normal way of doing business, right? Takes it on a sea voyage as opposed to selling it locally, right? Which then, sea voyage, there's things that can happen to the merchandise because you're going on a voyage, right? Travels with it to another place, right? Does business with other merchandise at the same time, which then might reduce the profits of the one product that you have, right? Because you're You're doing business and may not focus so well on the partnership merchandise. Got it? Or the like. He alone is liable to pay for any loss that occurs because of his activity. So this guy who went and did this, he might have to pay. If he profits from the activity, the profit should be split between the partners according to the stipulation regarding profit. But if he profits properly, or even maybe more than might have been otherwise, let's say, he took the stuff on a sea voyage and in the end he made a lot more money. He made a lot more money because it was more valuable, the stuff there, right, where he went, than locally. So you say, oh, since he did it on his own, does that mean he's going to get the majority of the profits? No, because they are partners. He's only getting the liability because he did not, because this was not stipulated, this was not agreed upon. He went unilaterally and did it. So he only gets a liability. He doesn't get doesn't get the credit for it. That has to be divided. For this reason, following rules apply when a person gives a colleague money to purchase wheat as part of the partnership agreement. The partner purchases barley, or he gives him money to purchase barley and he purchases wheat. If there is a loss, it is suffered by the one who transgressed. If there's a profit, it is split. Okay, as we just said, right? We're good? Yeah? Thumbs up? Anybody? Not yet. All right. Wunderbar. Similarly, if a person entered into a partnership with another person using funds belonging to the partnership, so Reuven and Shimon are partners, and Reuven now took from the monies of the partnership and now went into and used it to go into partnership with Levi. If there's a loss, he suffers it alone. If there's a profit, it is split. He went into partnership with another guy, but he used monies from the business. Again, without consent. If there's consent, then that's different, right? Then, right? As we said, when it comes to business, whatever is consent between two people is binding. I mean, as long as it's not illegal, right? So here, if he suffers a loss, he alone suffers it. If there's a profit, it's split. And split, I would imagine, means 50-50. So Levi is only going to get a quarter of the profit and Shimon a quarter, while Reuven will get 50%. If, however, they enter in partnership with another person with his own money, if there's loss, he suffers it alone. If there's a profit, he alone receives a profit. Now, he went into a partnership with someone else, which he shouldn't have done, right? Because he was a partner with Reuven, and now he went with Levi, a second part, right? Again, because what's that going to do? It's going to reduce his involvement in the business because he's in a partner in a different business. Again, this is when there's no stipulation made about it. We're partners, but I can be a partner with someone else if I choose to, right? If you stipulated that, then that's fine. But there wasn't that stipulation. So that means we're partners. There's no other partnership. That's what's implied, right? So now he went and made, it was wrong what he did, but he made it with his own money, that partnership. So he suffers the loss, but also the profits that are his to be, right? If there's a profit, the alone is profit. If a stipulation was made between the partners, everything is concluded according to the stipulation. Again, he repeats that, right? Lacha number 3. When a person gives a colleague money to purchase produce with the profits to be divided in half, the person given the money is permitted to purchase more of the produce for himself. When a person, Uh-huh. So Chaim Hillel, I'm giving you $1,000 to buy such and such, and we'll split, right? And when you go to buy, when you go to buy, you spent $1,000, but you spent also $1,000 of your own, right? When he sells the produce, he should not sell the two together. Instead, he should sell the produce own jointly separately and his own produce separately, right? Because
That makes sense. Because he bought it with his own money.
Mhm. Because the two products may not be of the same value and quality, right? And therefore may affect the partnership's value. You sold it together, maybe the personal stuff you would get more for because the partnership stuff is more valuable. So you're taking away from the partnership.
Right.
Right. Now the partnership you got A1 quality. The personal stuff you only got A quality. And if you sold it together, the A quality is going to be valued more. The A plus is going to be valued less. So you can't sell them together. You have to sell them separately. Similarly, he should not purchase wheat for himself and barley for his colleague. Instead, should purchase wheat for the entire amount or barley for the entire amount, so that the funds of both of them should be equal in the case of loss. Okay. When one of the partners says, let's take the merchandise to this or this place, excuse me, where it is highly priced and sell it there, the other partner may prevent him from doing so, even if the first partner accepts the responsibility for the loss by factors beyond the control or depreciation that may occur. What's the rationale? How can you stop? Why can you stop him? The rationale to the second partner may tell him, I do not desire to give you the money that is in my possession, and then I have to pursue you and bring you to court to expropriate it from you. So laws apply in analogous situations. In other words, remember, this is what you stipulated. The idea was we're going to buy produce and we're going to sell it here, right? If we sell it here and we ever get into a problem, well, I could take you to court here. But if you're going to go and buy merchandise some other place, right? And maybe there's going to be some problems that we're going to have. And I have to bring you to court. Well, it's going to be a pain because I'm going to have to be out of town. I have to pursue you.
Well, accepts responsibility.
Even if he accepts responsibility, because partnership can always have a problem, and there might be a problem that arises, right? And therefore, I'm going to have to go and pursue you out of town to deal with it. I don't want to have that potential problem, right? The point over here, since it wasn't stipulated to begin with, so and the given is that you're buying merchandise to sell it locally. Locally, you know how to, whatever, if there's problems that arise, you can deal with it much easier than if problems arise when you sold it elsewhere.
This is a bit different from what we saw before, where
Yes.
the partner would have taken the goods without the other partner's awareness, sells it, makes a lot of money, and everyone benefits. So the difference I'm getting here is that in this case, the partner is actually saying, I plan to do this. I am going to do this.
Yeah. So,
As
but he
opposed to-
could, and the point over here is against some. And the other case was he went and did it. He went and did it unilaterally, right? So he suffers the loss if there is, and if there's profit, they divide. But here it's talking about he told them, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the produce, and I think we can make double our money if I'm going to if I'm going to go to outer Mongolia with it, right? And sell it there. So I don't want you to go there.
If anything goes wrong, I don't have to fight it at the time and expense. The money.
Right. I don't want to have to,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Even though I'm taking it on my risk, right? Is it my risk? I'm taking it. No, still. Now, obviously, he could agree with it.
Mm.
And if you agree, as we said, there's no issues. Halacha number 5. If one of the partners decides to take the produce, let the produce age until the time when it is known to sell that produce, it's called cannot prevent them from doing so. If there's no set time to sell the type of produce, it's called it can prevent them from aging the produce. So depending on what kind of produce this is, right? If it's produce that if you there's no set time for it, like what would be a good example of that? I can't think of it. Oh, well, like fruit, there's a set time, right? Oranges are this time of year, you know, cherries are going to be in the summer, right? Um, so those things you can't say, oh, okay, I want to let it age because it'll be riper, I guess. And since there is a set time, you can prevent them. But if you're selling, I guess, material, there's no set time, right? Materials anytime, right? So then, yeah, but there's no aging in materials, so that can't be a good example. And what will be a good example? I don't know. Coconuts. They're not going to age, are they? They do.
Right.
Do they become better with age?
So,
No. Okay, not a good example. Okay, whatever. I don't have an example. All right. When partners evaluated their produce and then established a partnership with them, the laws of Einah apply to each of them. If they mix their product, now remember, it's not more than a sixth, right? You can't sell it for market value than more than a sixth of its value. Up to a sixth, you could, but not more. If they mix their produce together without evaluating, sold it, and then did business with the profits, they should evaluate the worth of the produce at the time the partnership was established and appraise the profit or the loss accordingly. Okay. Customs collectors waived a fee from partners. Each is granted an equal share. If the collector says, we waive the fee because of so-and-so, he alone is granted the value of the waiver. Right? He did it for so-and-so because, I don't know, he did him a favor once. So then one partner gets the waiver and not, right? But otherwise, if no statement was made that it was specific, then they both get it. Following rules apply when partners were traveling on the road and were attacked by thieves who sought to steal the merchandise carried by the caravan. If one of the partners saved the goods from being taken, all the partners receive an equal share in what was saved. If he says, I'm saving it for myself, he saves it for himself alone. Even though that's not so nice. Why? Because the thieves make that merchandise into like Hefker, ownerless or owned by the, in the sense because the partner is giving up hope on it. Thieves are taking it. The fact he gives up hope on it, it doesn't belong to him. Now, on so, I just want to make sure I'm saying this right. So we consider it as the partnership was dissolved. Since the other partner did not endeavor to save his share of the merchandise, we assume that he despaired of its recovery. Therefore, the partner who saved it is able to acquire it for himself.
Supposed to avoid this is if both partners or the parties uh, involved say that they are saving it for themselves alone at the same time. All of them.
No, one partner is saving it and the other one's not.
But what did they, no, what I'm saying,
No, if the other one was saving it, they're both trying to save it. That means there's no dissolving a partnership.
Right.
He's showing that he still is not giving up hope on his merchandise. So therefore, they would then they would
That's a
equally
both
they would equally then divide it.
But it doesn't keep a sentence. If one of the partners save the goods, from the taker, then everyone has to be for share. That's one partner. So what I'm saying is to avoid the last sentence from happening is if both of them say, you know what, I'm saving this for myself alone, in which case there's equal share.
Then it would be equal.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
neither of them gave up hope, and therefore giving up hope is like dissolving the partnership.
Right. Yeah. So it must be
The partnership in, but by the way, when we say partnership, we mean partnership in this merchandise. They're partners in the merchandise, right? As
opposed to like
as a business partnership. Yeah, I think that's the way I'm understanding it, right? I mean, yeah, they could still be business partners and they're business partners in the merchandise. And in this merchandise, you gave up hope. It doesn't mean you didn't give up hope of all the other merchandise you have back home. Right. Now, obviously, it's not such a nice thing that the partner would say that I'm only saving this for myself, but that's not the point here of being a nice guy. The point is the Jewish law. What is it? So since the other guy kind of gave up hope on it, so that dissolved the partnership in the in this material or merchandise. So the other one, by making that statement, it will belong to him. But he has to make that statement, right? This applies even though the property was located in the domain of only one of the partners. The partner in whose domain it is located may not claim that he purchased it from the other party or that he gave it to him as a present. In such an instance, we do not follow the principle when a person declares to expropriate property from a colleague, for the proof is on him. Instead, the property is assumed to belong to both parties unless one of them brings proof otherwise. Right. Even though it's in one person's possession, but they're partners, so we assume that it's for both. Number 9, when one of the partners desires to dissolve the partnership without the knowledge of his partner, he should divide the assets in the presence of 3 people. Right? Let's say the partner's out of town, so he wants to dissolve it. He couldn't send a text to him and tell him, I want to dissolve our partnership. They may even be unlearned people, provided that they are trustworthy and able to evaluate property. If a partner divides the assets in the presence of fewer than 3 people, the actions are of no consequence. When does the above apply? When he divides produce. If, however, the partnership's assets were money, the money is considered as if they are already divided. The partner may therefore divide the money outside the presence of the court and then deposit his colleague's share with the court for safekeeping. Yeah. So when does it apply? When all the money of the currency is the equal value. If, however, some coins are new and others old, is to say if some were considered desirable and others is considered undesirable, the money is also considered as produce and should not be divided outside the presence of quarter three, right? Like some was US money and some was, Mexican pesos. So, the US money's got more value than, even though it be an equal amount, but you can rid yourself of US money much quicker than you can of Mexican pesos. Number 10, it's forbidden for a person to enter into partnership with a non-Jew, lest the colleague be obligated to take an oath to him and to swear in the name of false deity. Right? Wow. Interesting. So if a person's a believer, so he brings over here, present day, where it's okay because non-Jews don't swear in the name of false deities.
Should is by definition of illegal transaction.
No, it's because of what might come out of it. Because every partnership has issues, and it may go to court, and therefore he's going to swear on false deities in court.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem. So the Ramah, was like lived in the 1600s, if I recall correctly. So he writes that you could, because today, they're not swearing in false deities in the same manner, and they mean God, the creator of heaven and earth. So it's not forbidden today. Okay. We've already explained that the appropriate place that is forbidden to do business with produce that grows in the sabbatical year, with firstborn animals, nor with animals that are treif, not kosher, nor with meat from dead animals, nor with produce that is truma, nor crawling and teeming animals, because all these things are forbidden, right? If a person transgresses and invests money belonging to a partnership in these, the profit should be divided among the partners. It appears to me that if he loses, he must bear the loss himself. This ruling is granted because he transgressed. Halacha number 11. When one of the members of the partnership or an investment agreement dies, the partnership or the investment agreement is nullified. This applies even if the agreement was originally made for a specific time. The rationale is that the money has already been transferred to the domain of the heirs, the Gonim ruled in accordance to this decision. Right? So person passes away, now the heirs are, right? So, but the partnership is dissolved. I mean, obviously, you can remake the partnership. That's interesting. Okay, let's stop here. Baruch Hashem, we got to do that chapter. Wonderful.